Look, since the October 7th terror attack, we've managed to get back 205 people from Gaza. That's no mean feat. Our experts were saying that none of them would come home alive. 148 of them have come home alive. 57, unfortunately, came back deceased. And we are extremely grateful to President Trump and Mr. Witkoff for their steadfast support in our tireless effort to get our people home. They must be set free now, not tomorrow, not for another moment, right now. Our people must be set free right now. Okay, next question from Yotam Confino from the Daily Telegraph in the UK. There's some confusion about NGOs and their work inside Gaza after the GHF began distributing aid. Are international NGOs allowed to distribute aid inside Gaza from their regular distribution points, or are they only allowed to collect aid from the border crossings and then distribute from there? Thank you for that question, Yotam. I think the precise answer to that question, you probably should go to COGAT so they can give you the precise answer. But my understanding is that aid organizations, including United Nations agencies, can distribute the food and the aid, but they need to pick it up first. No more excuses, no more trying to prolong this process. It is time for them to pick it up and stop blaming Israel for the bottlenecks which are occurring. There is hunger in Gaza, but if the UN did its job and other UN agencies did its job and picked up those 700, just imagine how many mouths that could feed, 700 truckloads of aid, then it would alleviate the problems which exist, which are caused by Hamas and also, unfortunately, by excuse me, the United Nations not doing its job. Question from Alona Vital from NPR. Question about Israeli authorities and journalists being allowed to leave. Okay, that's a question for the IDF. Alon, I would encourage you to put that question directly to the IDF. A question from ITV News. You're asking me about hunger in Gaza. I think I've already answered that question. Laura Kelly, could you just share with me from the Hill? Okay, from the Hill, what conditions, terms are being discussed in the US coordinated meeting between Israeli and Syrian officials? Thank you very much for that question, Laura. We've got the Prime Minister's made absolutely clear that these discussions should happen in private. We've already updated you in the past about these discussions, but all of these discussions will happen in private and out of, that's probably the best way forward, and rather than me sharing you with you details. Here, Israel wants peaceful relations with Syria. That's very much our objective. Our default position is always for peaceful relations with all of our neighbours, including Syria, but we have made crystal clear that Syrian forces cannot come south of Damascus. That's extremely clear, and we will protect the rights of Christian communities as well as Druze communities which exist in Syria. That should be the objective. It has already been said by the new Syrian leadership, and it has to be not just said, but it has to become true, because the current activity and the current awful attacks on Druze civilians has shown that unfortunately it is just words and not reality and action. Next question from AFP, Louis Boudouin-Larman. And you're saying that the UN has on numerous times said that those of its trucks allowed into Gaza, it has been unable to get Israeli coordination to guarantee safe passage from the border crossing to distribution point. Does Israel provide safe passage to aid trucks from Gaza's internal border to the UN and UN affiliated distribution centres? Thank you for that question, Louis. I think I've already addressed those points in my briefing, and I've said that there are 700 aid trucks full of food, laden with food, which would be of great help to alleviate what Hamas caused suffering there is in Gaza. and they should be picked up as soon as possible. That's what the IDF has said, that's what COGAT has said, and I think for more information you should probably go to COGAT. Next question here. We haven't missed one, have we? No? Okay, next question here from James Marlowe, an independent journalist. Is Israel concerned about Hamas hijacking 700 aid trucks waiting to be picked up by UN representatives on the Gazan side? And can you say exactly where exactly the aid on the Gazan side? Is it the Kerem Shalom crossing? Thank you for that question, James. I would say to you that for precise information about that aid, I would ask COGAT. COGAT and the IDF have already put out information about those 700 trucks. Yes, the issue of looting of aid is extremely important. I would just remind you that we're in this problem now. Where there are problems of hunger inside Gaza, it is because Hamas is restricting the aid. They are taking the aid for themselves. In fact, the IDF just this morning, and I would encourage you to take a look at that, have released footage of captured tunnels full of aid. Aid which belongs to the people has been taken by the terrorist organization. So it is precisely to cut out Hamas, the terrorist organization, from the aid distribution process that the GHF, the American Initiative, has been established, and that is our objective, to remove Hamas from this equation. Hamas hijacks the aid, they charge their own people. This is aid which is supposed to go to Gazans for free. It is their right to get it for free. Gazans are taxing that aid, they are selling it to merchants and selling it to Gaza's people for exorbitant prices, and they're using the money to pay for their terrorist fighters. And this seems to be the last leg which Hamas is standing on, which is why it is so important to cut Hamas out of the distribution process. Okay, next question here, I'll take another couple of questions, is from HPJE. And that is from a Danish newspaper, or you'll forgive me if I don't try to pronounce your publication. Heidi, can you comment on what Israel's goal is currently for Gaza when you have eradicated Hamas? Who will control the enclave? Thank you for this question, Heidi. President Trump has come up with an innovative plan for the future of Gaza. People that want to leave voluntarily, we make this clear, voluntarily should be allowed to leave. There are countries which have already expressed their interest to take in Gazans so they can get away from the fighting. The reason this war has taken so long is precisely because Hamas designed this war so that they could hide amongst civilians. So the president has made this plan clear. We think it's a good idea. We think it's an out-of-the-box idea. The idea of just repeating failed initiatives as we have in the past, for instance, letting the Palestinian Authority run Gaza, that's already shown to be a failure inside Judea and Samaria, where unfortunately the Palestinian Authority continues its policy, its pay-to-slay policy, paying for the families or rewarding terrorists for killing Israelis. We will not have a situation where there is any authority in Gaza which seeks to kill Jews and Israelis. That is simply not an option. So post October the 7th, after the appalling attacks and after fighting Hamas for these last almost 2 years, we will not live with a situation where our neighbor seeks our destruction. So you can take that from me, that there is no scenario where Gaza is run by any sort of organization which seeks our destruction. It should be run by an organization of people that want Gazans to succeed, to reach their potential, for a better future for all of our people in this area. And this is the last question now. Final question from David Clement at the News Forum in Canada. Reports that the Shin Bet have arrested a woman who was going to attempt to assassinate the Prime Minister. Does the Prime Minister have any comment? Does the Prime Minister's office have any comment on that? I haven't got anything to share with you on that. And is there any response to Canada signing a letter calling for Israel's aid distribution dangerous and calling for an end to war? Thank you for that question, David. Yes, indeed, Canada was one of the 25 countries or 26 countries which signed that declaration. Look, David, I will say to you this simple point. Who welcomed that declaration? Hamas welcomed it. Now look, Canada and the other countries that signed this declaration, just be aware of this one fact. Hamas welcomed your declaration. That means you're on the wrong side of history. It means you're on the wrong side of the argument. And if you would instead encourage Hamas to let our hostages go, to free our people and lay down its arms, then this entire war would be over in an instant. Okay, so that's the last question here today. We'll have another briefing again shortly. Thank you for joining us. And in the meantime, please do stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.